Hello, hey, how you guys doing? James here. Hope you're doing well. Um, I'm going to do a video, and this video is going to be on the current Vice President Kamala Harris, and I'm going to play these videos, and I'm going to put my input. And what's on these videos is actual proof and evidence. So, if you're a Democrat, it's up to you. Or if you're an undecided person, it's up to you. You want to vote this woman in office? There's some things you need to know, and it's some truth. But I got three videos. But just watch this one video. But I want to show you this video.
News or the bad news first? Well, the bad news is I don't have a real estate course to sell. But the good,
you even see disturbing and disgusting videos like this. This is a cop admitting. Check out the links in the description for my favorite apparel, Bibles, books, commentaries, and more. Howdy y'all, I'm Brylan. In this video, you're finally going to see where Kamala definitively stands on everything from taxes to life in the womb, the Second Amendment, healthcare, the border, and more. And also, I'm going to show you the number one thing that Kamala vowed to fight for that directly targets Christians. Hey, real quick, would you hit that thumbs up button? You know when you like this video, to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. Kamala finally releases some of her policies after being installed as the Democratic nominee like 2 months ago. Ever since the coup, Kamala has literally, the only thing that she's been able to run on, the only thing she's been able to talk about is taking life in the womb and protecting LGBT people, which are clearly the most pressing matters in our society today, since, you can afford to buy groceries and gas and pay rent and, provide for your children. But who cares about all that? Because we have a new way forward. That is literally what Kamala is calling her new policies, a new way forward, as if she hasn't been vice president for the last 4 years. And also remember this, Kamala says that she is literally the last person in the room whenever there are big decisions being made over the last 4 years. So yes, she is absolutely instrumental in everything that you're seeing in our country right now, but it's a new way forward. So here's all her policies. I expanded all the ones we're going to go over. I'm not gonna read everything on this page, so you can go check out the page and read everything for yourself, which I highly encourage you to do. But in this video, I want to go over the things that are going to absolutely destroy America if this woman becomes the president of the United States. So she says, we're going to build an opportunity economy and lower costs for families. They haven't done that in the last 4 years. In fact, they've done quite the opposite. So I want you to check out how bizarre her policies start here. So she's going to cut taxes for the middle class families and make rent more affordable and home ownership more attainable, all at the same time. I want you to notice it says, unlike Trump, Vice President Kamala and Governor Awol are committed to ensuring no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay more in taxes. They won't pay less, but they won't pay more. So they have no intention of trying to lower your taxes. They're just telling you that you won't pay more, which is a lie, by the way. And I'm going to show you why in just a second. They believe we need to chart a new way forward, as opposed to the last 4 years, which was the old new way. One way they're going to ensure that you don't pay more in taxes is causing you to pay more in taxes. In one way, she's going to make sure you don't pay more in taxes by paying more in taxes is to give everybody $25,000 to help with a down payment for buying a home, for first-time homeowners. You're just going to get $25,000 that comes out of nowhere. This will absolutely destroy the middle class, but she boasts that it offers more Americans a path to the middle class and economic opportunity, which is an outright lie. This is the kind of thing that destroys economies. You can't just hand out free money. You can't just pass out $25,000 to everybody buying their first home and it not affect anybody. The money doesn't just come out of nowhere. But the way that this works is you give $25,000 to buy a home. Homes suddenly become $25,000, $50,000 more expensive, and everybody that's struggling to pay their rent and to pay their mortgage for their house that they already bought back when they could afford to own a home, before Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harry, all those people who can barely afford to survive and keep their homes are now paying more to be able to fund everybody else getting $25,000 towards a home. And even though they couldn't afford to buy that home without free money being given to them, when I say free, I mean you're paying for it, then after they slap that $25,000 down towards a house, they're just going to magically be able to pay the mortgage after that too. Oh wait, no, you're going to pay for that as well. Another one of her policies is to take on bad actors and bring down costs. How's she going to do this? She says, as Attorney General of California, Kamala took on the big banks to deliver for homeowners. Just lies. She's just lying, but people aren't going to fact check anything.
No.
So it doesn't matter.
No.
She can get away with it. She says as president, she will direct her administration to crack down on anti-competitive practices that let big corporations jack up prices and undermine the competition that allows all businesses to thrive. She's going to do this by introducing communistic price gouging laws. The kind that have never worked for any society ever. But listen to CNN rip Kamala on this.
It's not going to be supply and demand that's determining how much your grocery store charges you for milk or for eggs. It's going to be some bureaucrat in DC, which seems like totally unworkable, first of all. We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before. Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets, plenty of uncertainty. And beyond that, the specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices. Really hard for me to imagine any form of legislation that preserves the spirit of what she's proposing that would not be, at best do nothing, at worst cause a lot of harm.
Now it also says that Harris will make affordable health care a right and not a privilege, which is not constitutional whatsoever, but I know it sounds good. You want it to be the right thing because it hits you in the feel-goods. But we've seen what happens when they do this kind of thing. You saw it with Obama and Obamacare. You saw it with the Affordable Care Act, which she's boasting about. They aren't actually doing what they say that they want to do. All they're doing is harming people by pretending that they can just throw healthcare out there as a free-for-all net to cover everybody and anybody for anything and everything. And never forget that she cast the tie-breaking vote to pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a scam and had nothing to do with lowering inflation. Never, ever forget this, that it was Kamala that passed the tie-breaking vote that made everything more expensive and made your life harder to live. The Inflation Reduction Act was named the Inflation Reduction Act because if they named it what it actually was, you wouldn't have liked it so much. And that's because all this was a climate bill in disguise. In fact, watch Sleepy Joe himself admit that this bill was a disguise just the other day.
My investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever, and by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called we should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
And again, I can't stress this enough. It was Kamala that passed the tie-breaking vote for the Inflation Reduction Act that was actually literally a bill to increase inflation. But don't worry, this was a lie and she was the tie-breaking vote for it and everything, but everything else on her policies isn't a lie. She's not lying about anything else. It was just the inflation thinking. Again, now we get to the section where it says we're going to safeguard our fundamental freedoms. When they say things like this, they're literally meaning our, as in like them, not you, their fundamental freedoms to do whatever they want over you. Not the American people, our, but them, our. Or not the child in the womb, our. Because check this out. Again, radical, progressive ideologies here, where they want to make it law to where you can take a child in the womb, you can take their life with no limits whatsoever. In fact, you saw Timmy AWOL do this in Minnesota, where he actually vetoed a bill that would have made it illegal to take the life of a child that had already been born. Can you believe that? It's disgusting. And of course, they want to protect civil rights and freedoms. This is just disguise talk for her literally saying right here, as president, she'll pass the Equality Act. I did a video on this. The Equality Act is literally just an anti-religious freedom law. All it has to do is taking the rights away from Christians in America. That's what it's all about. This isn't just about accepting LGB down here. You can see that this is an anti-discrimination protection for LGB. Oh gee, who'd ever thought that was coming? It's not just accepting it. If you don't celebrate LGB and promote LGB and uplift LGB above all, if you don't worship LGB, then you are a bigot. So you can't help but see how wonderful the irony is here when she has a section about safeguarding our fundamental freedoms. And then you go to the very next section and she talks about wanting to literally ban your firearms, take away your Second Amendment, which isn't the fundamental freedom apparently. The next section is ensuring safety and justice for all. So under this section, she says she wants to make our community safer from gun violence and crime, even though crime has spiked due to having like 20 to 30 million illegal immigrants in our country that have been wreaking havoc on people, absolutely destroying our economy, what little is left of it, and also the crime rate, violent crime rate, is through the roof. And on top of that, they want to let in violent illegal criminals and then take your guns away so that you can't protect yourself. What's funny is that she boasts, you can't make this up, she boasts about investing $15 billion in supporting local law enforcement and community safety programs across 1,000 cities, towns, and counties.
You know, for far too long, the status quo thinking has been to believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong.
Does that mean you support proposals like what we've seen in Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million?
And I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done. It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street. We have to reimagine public safety and how we do public safety in our country.
One local radio show asked then Senator Kamala Harris where she stood on the defund the police movement.
Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety.
So I don't know how you defund the police and also invest $15 billion in supporting local law enforcement. She will ban assault weapons in high-capacity magazines, require universal background checks, and support red flag laws that keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. You know, they love to talk about how, you know, this whole thing with universal background checks and all that. Background checks are a thing. Everybody has to do one in order to purchase a firearm. This is all smoke and mirrors. But what you don't want to miss here is that she is telling you that she is going to ban assault weapons. And what she means is that she will use her power as president to implement things like buyback programs, to take away your ARs, and if you don't submit, you will pay a price, a penalty, most likely up to and including your life in one way or another. In fact, listen to Kamala say it herself.
I'm prepared to take executive action and put in place a ban on the importation of assault weapons into our country. But we still have to deal with the over 2 million assault weapons that are currently in the streets of America. And so a buyback program is a good idea. If Congress fails to act, I'll give them 100 days to put a bill on my desk for signature. And if they do not do it, I will put in place by executive action a comprehensive background check requirement and a ban on the assault weapons and the importation of assault weapons into our country. I'm done. And that's why we will work to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
And then listen to how she boasts about how Australia did the right thing and we should be more like Australia.
Gun violence is terrorized and traumatized so many of our communities in this country. And let us be clear, it does not have to be this way, as our friends in Australia have demonstrated.
In fact, I love what Colin Rugg said. He said, anyone who thinks the government wants to take your guns because they care about your safety is incredibly misguided. And that's putting it lightly. Right. Elon Musk, don't care what you think about him, this is still the truth. The right to bear arms is there to protect free speech and stop a tyrannical government from taking your rights away. That's why the first thing that all tyrants do is disarm the people. Kamala will be the most radical anti-Second Amendment president to ever president. So again, a part of them safeguarding our fundamental freedoms is taking away your fundamental freedoms. Kind of.
Okay. Watch this.
I'm very familiar with Kamala Harris as the Senator and Attorney General in California, and I can tell you that the words that she has often spoken when it comes to defunding the police and ICE kin to the KKK is demoralizing to law enforcement and those trying to protect our country and protect victims. Thousands of people coming through a day where I visited and I saw people from Yemen, China coming through. A friend of mine, Jody Jones, his brother was shot and killed at an AM/PM mini-mart where an illegal immigrant who had been deported 3 times over found his way back into the United States, attempted a robbery, and shot and killed a man. We're starting to see is an influx of Mandarin, or those from China. We're unraveling a human trafficking case of over 40 women who are involved in sexual prostitution up and down the state of California, who have found their way across the border and are here illegally, and that case is ongoing.
The Biden-Harris administration made 3 changes that led to the unprecedented situation we've seen in our country. Day 1, they decided no more building the wall, no more remain in Mexico while we evaluate your asylum claim, and once you get here, you will not be detained, you will be released into the country. As a result of that, 10 million migrants have come into the country, 99 on the terrorist watch list. We've lost track, they've lost track. This is what happens when you have an administration that doesn't care about border security, that prioritizes aliens over Americans and legal immigrants. But unfortunately, we don't. We have a Democrat presidential candidate who for years advocated for open borders. She was appointed the border czar, yet presided over the largest mass illegal immigration in U.S. history. She has called for ICE to be abolished. She has laughed off questions about border security. She has promoted amnesty. She has said that, quote, undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. Thanks to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we're on track to get to 12 million illegal aliens in the United States in this 4-year administration. 12 million. I always tell folks, 12 million, that's the equivalent of the entire population of our state of Ohio, 7th largest state in the union. And that's not even counting the 1.9 million known gotaways who've evaded Border Patrol, or the unknown number of gotaways who've not even been detected. American communities are left to suffer the consequences.
Chairman Jordan and Ranking Member Nadler and distinguished members of the committee, my name is Mike Boudreau. I am the Sheriff of Tulare County in California. Tulare County sits in the heart of California, right in the center. We're a very large agricultural community. I have spent 38 years in law enforcement working in the Sheriff's Office and working with victims throughout my career. I am also an FBI National Academy graduate in Class 251, where I have law enforcement leaders from all over the country and as well all over the world who I have connections with. When it comes to the dangerous and sometimes deadly impacts of what I feel is a failed Biden-Harris administration on open border policies, the impacts of illegal immigration in California, I must say that I have a front row seat. I also served as the California State Sheriff's Association president, where I meet regularly with all other 57 sheriffs, there's 58, me being number 58, in the state of California hearing their stories. There's a few examples that I would like to be able to provide today. We have a long issue of illegal immigration in California. However, over the last 3 years of the Biden-Harris administration, we have a deadly impact of violent criminals coming into our communities. We have migrant communities of farm workers who are now infiltrated and terrorized by those that they had fled other countries from, who are now in our communities terrorizing them, threatening their children to be involved in drug trafficking, gun running, drug dealing, as well as gangs and sexual activity of children. I'm very involved with these migrant communities as the sheriff, and I can tell you the personal stories and impacts are heart-wrenching. Many of these communities have to do what's called paying rent. You must give money to the drug lord or the gang member or the violent criminal of those that you fled if you want to live peacefully within that migrant community. I'm very familiar with Kamala Harris as the Senator and Attorney General in California, and I can tell you that the words that she has often spoken when it comes to defunding the police and ICE kin to the KKK is demoralizing to law enforcement and those trying to protect our country and protect victims here in California and the United States. I have, as the president, walked the border, and over the course of the 38 years as sheriff, I have visited the border many times, and I have many friends in the Border Patrol as well as Homeland Security, and I can tell you that they are frustrated. Thousands of people coming through a day where I visited and I saw people from Yemen, China coming through. In our town, we had a friend of mine, Jody Jones. His brother was shot and killed at an AM/PM mini-mart where an illegal immigrant who had been deported 3 times over found his way back into the United States, attempted a robbery, and shot and killed a man. My deputies got into a pursuit and got into a violent shootout with this man. We have a case where that's called the reign of terror. I can tell you, as the Attorney General, Kamala Harris often lessened the impact of law enforcement with her quotes of defunding the police. I have story after story, but most recently what we're starting to see is an influx of Mandarin, or those from China. We're unraveling a human trafficking case of over 40 women who are involved in sexual prostitution up and down the state of California, who have found their way across the border and are here illegally, and that case is ongoing. We have financial crimes from Mandarin, thieves from China, who are stealing millions of dollars online from our elderly in the Central Valley and up and down the state of California. We had an illegal immigrant, El Mano Negro. He was a hired hand by the cartel, where we arrested, and finally he admitted to killing and assassinating over 25 people in our county at the hands of the cartel. We just unraveled a cartel in our county, dismantling that cartel. The people in that cartel that we arrested openly admitted that within the last 3 years, it's easier now to move human beings, drugs, guns, fentanyl most specifically across the board, and that it's easier now than in the history of their cartel. I can tell you because of the Biden and Harris administration, law enforcement resources are quickly depleted. We have victim after victim that we see, as you'll hear today, and that these stories are not unfamiliar to law enforcement up and down the state of California.
Oh, it gets even better than this. And this is from the black people out there.
If you're like me and you like getting paid to give your opinion, then go to beforthright.com. Sign up and Forthright will send you.
And contributing.
Check this one out. So for the black Democrats, sister girl, look what your sister girl did to these black women in California. This to the black community.
Kamala Harris with her truancy laws. Remember, as the California AG, Kamala created this to specifically target black people, mostly black women, and here's one of the true stories of many.
I intend to fight for Black Lives Matters. I intend to fight.
If Black Lives matter to her, why didn't I matter?
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
My message to all Americans, especially black Americans, do not trust Kamala Harris.
I'm so proud of you right now. Because you walked all the way down here and I wasn't expecting you to walk.
My daughter, Shayla, suffers from sickle cell anemia, a chronic, painful genetic disease.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick.
It's a very sharp stabbing pain and it hurts a whole lot.
Black people make up 90% of sickle cell cases in the U.S. That's 9 out of every 10 cases. And of all black babies born, about 1 in 13 are born with a sickle cell trait, meaning they have inherited a sickle cell gene from one parent. It's absolutely horrible.
From my chest all the way down, it hurts, including my side.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
When Kamala Harris was the California Attorney General, she had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I spent a majority of my time here at the hospital.
Kamala's horrible policies hurt mothers like me and the black community. My name is Sheree Peoples, and this is my story. I am a single mother. I've worked as a certified nursing assistant and a caregiver. My daughter Shayla was born in 2002. When she was born, she was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. And it affects all major organs in the body and also causes extreme pain. Her whole life, she has been on medications like morphine and Dilaudid to help her control the pain. In addition, she had to undergo blood transfusions every 3 weeks. My lifestyle became taking care of her almost full time. It is pretty typical for kids with Shayla disability to miss a lot of school.
I just got out of school. I've done 3 full days this week. Oh, I'm so tired.
And for years, the teachers were aware of her condition and her absences were all excused. California schools get their state and federal funding based off of average daily attendance. Schools are paid about $30 per student per day.
It's always about money. And back when Kamala was the AG in California, the ADA per student per year was between $9,000 and $10,000. That number is much higher today. Back in 2020, it was $15,000, and now it's over $21,000 per year per student. That's for basic students. Remember, they get way more if they can place a disability on your child. So yeah, they're definitely getting more for physical disabilities, mental disabilities, and learning disabilities. This is why they're also eager to place the ADHD label on kids. So yeah, Kamala lied. She said that she went after parents to stop crime. She was only going after them for money. No different than keeping men in prison past their release dates to save money, have free labor for them to fight fires for the state. It's all about money and exploiting black bodies, just like her Irish slave master ancestors in Jamaica.
In San Francisco, we threatened the parents of truants with prosecution.
I first heard of Kamala Harris when she got elected California Attorney General.
We are putting parents on notice. We are going to make sure that you face the full force and consequences of the law.
She wrote a report saying truancy was costing California schools $1.4 billion a year in funding.
Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding.
I want money. Kamala then wrote a law making it criminal for parents if their kids miss school time. Kamala even wrote a book called Smart on Crime.
You can read an excerpt from the book that she just plugged shamelessly. It's called Smart on Crime.
Talking about arresting parents for truancy.
I sent a letter on my letterhead out to every parent in the public school system.
In 2012, like all California parents, I received a threatening letter from Kamala Harris saying we'll go to jail for a year if our kids even miss 10% of school days. It was like a crazy intimidation tactic.
I'm going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought, wow, this woman doesn't have any empathy. Is it because she's not a mother? I also thought, how could she not understand it would disproportionately affect people of color, single black mothers? She also didn't care that it would mostly impact black children because she doesn't care about black children. She's not us. She's a red dot Indian who was raised a significant amount of time in Canada, mixed with a daddy born in Jamaica, Irish and Indian. She's a cosplaying, pretending chameleon, an Indian-raised woman trying her best to act like an American black woman by associating herself with the Black Divine Nine at HBCUs, the biggest scammer ever. So no, she didn't care because she never saw herself as one of us in the first place. Now listen closely to what Kamala Harris did to this woman. And I want Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, Michael Eric Dyson, Fake Tamika Mallory, Angela Wright. I want y'all to respond to this. But honestly, I didn't imagine it could affect me. Her teachers had her medical records from the Children's Hospital. I even had a 504 plan, which was an agreement between the school district and the parents to provide care for students with disabilities. It was April 18th, 2013, in the morning. I'm in my pajamas. I had just fed my daughter, gave her medications, sent her off to school. Little did I know, there was a warrant out for my arrest. All of a sudden, the police is outside my house, and they started banging on the door. I opened up my door, and 2 officers entered my home. They told me I was under arrest for my child missing school. They said I was going to jail. I was shocked. I said, but my baby is sick. The school knows that. And they said, go talk to Kamala Harris. Place your hands behind your back.
My mom did nothing wrong. We did everything we were supposed to. I was always bringing doctor's notes, always calling the school to let them know that I was in the hospital.
Then they handcuffed me. So they take me outside for what you call a perk walk. And oh my God, the TV news was there, the newspapers were there. You could swear I had killed somebody. It was degrading and humiliating. I was taken to the Criminal Justice Center. They took my mugshot. I was fingerprinted like a criminal, and I was terrified.
And it felt like I caused her so much pain because in reality it is because of me, even though I know it's not directly my fault.
Man, this is horrible. She's blaming herself for what Kamala did to them. No, this was not her fault. She was a disabled child. Kamala knew this and went after them anyway. Why? Because the pretending chameleon was a woman with an agenda and aspirations of being president dating back to 2008. Kamala used them in California to humiliate them for political gain. She targeted and criminalized them, something she won't even do to illegal immigrants. Remember? Kamala said she would decriminalize illegal immigration, but she was out there in California searching for charges to put on black people. That's your so-called progressive prosecutor. Yeah, they love talking about this fake record that she's so proud of, but they never bring up the thousands of cases like this.
Sorry.
The next day, the Orange County Register showed the pictures of my arrest. They even had a close-up picture of my hands in handcuffs to show here's a black mother being arrested.
It was a truancy rate at over 2.5 times that of white students.
Everyone knew most truant kids were black. I think Kamala Harris wanted me as an example to threaten other single black mothers, like, this can happen to you if you don't get your kids in class. The police even put out a press release naming me and other black single mothers like Toya Daniels, who got arrested the same day. But my hell was just beginning. They gave me 2 charges: failure to supervise and encourage school attendance, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I couldn't believe it. They framed my daughter as a gang member and basically charged me with neglect. I spent the next 2 years in court fighting these charges. Kamala assigned her nastiest prosecutors to my case.
My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
Like 10 different prosecutors. They kept pressuring me to plead guilty and spend a year in jail. But I kept refusing because I did nothing wrong. All the time I had to spend going to court, I was struggling to care for my Shayla. I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted. I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
And I ended up being in the hospital a lot during her trial. And in that hospital stay was when I had my stroke.
Think about it. Her child was already fighting sickle cell. Then they had to fight Kamala for over 2 years, putting them in a position that caused way more stress on both of them, especially the child. More stress placed on her body from Kamala targeting them and trying to send her only caregiver to jail for no real reason. That's how she ended up having a stroke, which ended up causing permanent damage.
I had a stroke about 4 or 5 days ago, and right now I'm doing pretty good. My hand is doing okay, I guess.
In 2015, after 2 years, they finally just gave up and dismissed my case. In 2018, the Supreme Court of California ruled that truancy cannot be punished by incarceration. It was unconstitutional. The courts finally stopped Kamala Harris' abuses. When I look back, I ask, why did Kamala Harris arrest me? Why was Kamala Harris so insensitive to a black woman with a handicapped child? Well, first, I learned that Kamala Harris has no common experience with black people. She grew up with an Indian mother. I remember she kept saying she was Indian.
To become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
What we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes. And I learned she grew up in Canada, not in the United States, and went to a wealthy high school. I think in Canada, she must not have been exposed to American values, which respects the rights of individuals. When Kamala Harris ran for president in 2019, they asked her about arresting people like me, and she just lied her ass off.
The truancy program got a lot of criticism too. Did you actually lock anybody up?
No, we never locked anybody up.
Look, right there on the Breakfast Club, lying to millions of black people. Once again, Kamala, she's been lying on Black National Radio now for the last 6 years. And all these folks protecting her and lying for her, spreading disinformation every day, none of them can be trusted. They are constantly bringing people on the Breakfast Club to lie for Kamala. Ricky Smiley is lying for Kamala. Steve Harvey, NDL Hughley. You know, the Q-Dogs run the radio according to Steve Harvey. Yeah, they're running lies for Kamala. Wonder if they will care for this real black American woman and protect her like they protect this Indian lady cosplaying as a black American woman.
We never sent a parent to jail, and no parent went to jail. And we did prosecute some cases, but far few, only about 20.
It's ironic because Kamala helped raise money to bail out murderers, rioters, and thieves. But she thought I belonged in jail because I had a handicapped child. To me, Kamala is fake. She just repeats stupid things like unburdened.
What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been?
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know, I found out she only became Attorney General because she was a mistress to the married San Francisco Mayor, Willie Brown. And today I see she tries appealing to black audiences by putting on fake urban accents.
And we're going to do it again in 2024.
Black people are very down to earth. This is insulting to us.
You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Kamala, how stupid do you think we are? And I saw Kamala's Twitter photo. That's from like 20 years ago. She's 60 years old today. Even with the heavy makeup, you can see she's 60. I seen her pretending to be talking on the phone, avoiding the press. She's a terrible actress. She was calling young people stupid.
What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid.
With Kamala, we can't even say Merry Christmas.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
The laugh is so insincere.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And yeah, I am radical.
All this woke and radical stuff doesn't do anything for me as a single black mother. All it got me was inflation that hurt me and my kids. Grocery store prices are crazy. I can't pay for food on my income.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
Black people has been in America for 400 years, but Kamala pushes us to the back of the line behind illegals. Why? As borders are. She just filling up our schools with kids who don't speak English just so they can get more government money. Illegals get free health care, but I have to pay. They get free housing, and I'm struggling to pay rent.
Our undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit crime.
And it's more dangerous in our neighborhood. We don't need Venezuelan gangs.
To this day, at 22 years old, I suffer from full paralysis on my right arm and partial in my right leg.
Kamala Harris owes me an apology and my daughter an apology for what she did to us.
Let's be clear, my values have not changed.
Look, I am not a political person, but I want people to know what Kamala Harris has did to me. If she do it to me, she will abuse anyone if you give her the power. Absolutely crazy. The permanent damage was caused by that stroke brought on from the stress of Kamala fighting them in court over these bogus charges. And get this, Kamala ran that office. She's the one who put this out here to prosecute them. And no, this was not the only woman. She had a bunch of cases like this, mostly black women, but also black fathers. It's very disgusting what she did to these folks in California, and the only way she's combating her horrible record is to send these shields out, lying and referring to us as N-words, saying what we need to know, while acting like they're fighting for justice for black people at the same time. Where's Angela Rye, Tamika Mallory, Jamel Hill? I dare you to call this misinformation. Charlamagne, why didn't you interview Shayla and her mother? I dare you to call Miss Peoples and Shayla misinformation. Ricky Smiley, I dare you to call this a lie. You said she didn't lock anybody up. Why don't you get on the radio and tell everybody you lied and talk about what your sorority sister really did to these black people right here? Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about this.
Shout out to Pink Lessons. Now, any black person that come across my video, I pray that you please and share this with people before November. Please share this video. And man, for the people, for Trump, all Trump gotta do is use that in his promo. He can knock her out right there. Boom, just like that. It's all facts. This is not personal. This is her record. This ain't nothing. This is nothing personal. She has even admitted she lied. She lied. She told a lie. But you got some people, when you don't do your research, this this is what happened. And I'm looking at even the situation. I saw something recently a man was showing out there in Springfield, and they don't want Trump or Vance or anybody come out there because of the incident with the Haitian incident. But I get that. But the same people had Kamala Harris and 10 wall signs out there, and in Springfield, Democrats. This is what you're voting for. Black, and particularly, I address this to the black community. She's making you a permanent underclass while she's doing it with a smirk and a smile. She started in California. Now she's going to do it all across the country if she get to the White House. And she's going to use any silly people, like she said in the sororities, they're going to try to subconsciously try to make black people feel like it's something, that you ain't being obligated. And Dennis Sperling said something about this, like black people ain't falling for that anymore. They're not going for that stuff. They're not going for it. And it's just that it's pathetic what she did. It's just confirmation that I knew this woman was about power. Just by the way she present herself. I knew something, that everything I've been saying was right about this woman. She don't care about your children. She don't care about them. Then she's going to push. The next thing she's going to push is make sure that biological males that's turning to females who still got their organs being in showers with biological females. She's pushing that, and push. And people do not fight back because she was a big opponent behind it because of her stepdaughter. This is all facts. She's pushing an agenda. She wants to push. That's true. It's a Marxist, socialistic view. She wants to push it. Her and the guy that's running with her. Yeah. But everybody accusing. I mean, I know Trump ain't the perfect person. I know about January 6th, 7th, when that incident go down. But sometimes black people and other people listen to this. Sometimes what I learned as I get older, some people you ain't gonna like. You might have to work with a boss you don't like, but you still got to work with him. You might have to work with somebody but if they the kind of person that do the job, you might have to live. Your landlord, it could be a co-worker, anybody that you don't like, but you have to get it done because you don't have no choice. Maybe where you live, or maybe where you work at, or whatever phase of life. But at least when I look at Trump, he ain't do no crazy stuff like this to innocent women. For truancy of all things. And the black community, he did want to meet with them as far as what can I do to solve the problem. He was on the way. Maybe some of us wouldn't have got the reparation, but God was laying on his heart. If we would just stayed the course, and the black caucus didn't want to meet with him. They didn't want to meet with him because he's so brash and bold. And people say, oh, well, he said that thing, say some things. But they said this about, different countries, different individuals. People come up from South America. And we know that everybody from South America ain't like that. But you got a remnant of people coming from different parts of the world. What he was saying it was the truth, that they're criminals. We don't even know nothing about their background, and they just allowing them in the neighborhood. And it goes back what someone told me a long time ago about some Americans. You know what? We soft. We are soft people. We're just soft. We live in this so-called utopia that think that everybody come over here wants the same thing they do. No. There are a segment of people that that a certain percentage of people have good intentions to come to work, but the other ones don't come over with good intentions. And you start to see that in Chicago. You seeing that in New York. You see that what the officer said in California. You seeing this stuff. But you're going to vote this woman in the office. I ain't voting for her. And it's not based, it's based on all of that. It's based on truth. That the media that is catering to this, mainstream media, is not telling the people. And I have people, silly people among friends, family, neighbors, believe in this stuff because they see everything is on the news. No one will ever do no research. In fact, people in America most of us don't even know the research on what type of people that's coming up from the country, because we don't okay, what these people are really about. And people don't Google. They Google for everything else. They Google for entertainment, but here you don't learn what's around you. You don't use wisdom and don't use knowledge. And I'm talking to the American people as a whole. Some of us have common sense, and I salute the ones that go out the country, because you know what the people are about if you've been to different countries. But the Americans, or you the ones that maybe you the selected ones that had actually see stuff from around the world, and it's opening up your eyes, and God is showing you at a different level what's going on. And I watch different topics on YouTube from what's going on with the wars and the politics in other part of the country. They have the same problem like this in Germany. They have the same problem like this in England. They have the same problem. And do you know what they did? Like Greg Abbott is considered, oh, that's cruel what he doing. But if you go over to Hungary and them other countries, they doing the same thing. They put up a wall because you have Afghans and some people coming from East and some part of African country mixed with Afghan and other people coming into Europe that they don't know nothing about. And in some of the countries, they keep them out there and they fed them. They do the humanitarian thing. But you got people wanting free for all. So they go. So at some point, all the countries, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, they shut down the border. You can go on. It's on the internet. They are shutting down and stop the people from coming. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and she said basically they want to hold on to their culture. And I said, you know what? That's right. Because it's not that people don't want to work with other people, but after a while, it's like, Europe ain't like America. They ain't going to compromise and say, oh, we're going to be this one back hat. No, some people, we come to make it our dome. We're going to bring in our spiritual system. We're going to bring in our ways. And when you get a certain percentage of people, they make it just like the way, and everything that came from their country, they bring it to you with their same habits and their same attributes and attitudes. And people say, well, they don't assemble too well. Guess what? It was probably the same way, and they don't care, and it's really an insult to people that come over here the right way, who came through the migration and came over here, and they swore, got their green card. They did it the right way. You got this administration, and they had to learn the laws and the rules of America. But you got this administration now. Look what she's doing. Let everybody over the border, and now you have a rise of homelessness in the next 6 months to a year or two. And if she get into office, the homelessness among Americans is going to spike. You're going to have Americans sleeping in the streets. And you're going to have the Americans probably have to take the same shelters that and triple the ones that were already homeless in the street. She don't care. She doesn't care. This is what, and everybody blame Trump, but you don't think about, he said some political, but so did Biden. Biden was at the time doing his 30-something years. He was around a segregationist. He passed a law when it comes to drug, how the way white criminals was being prosecuted, and black criminals were getting over the same drug, off the drug. Cocaine, they get 1 to 5 years. Crack and everything get 10 to 20 years. Repeat offenders. Then, and knowing that they took that, and some just now getting out of prison. This ain't the ones that did the violent. This ain't the ones. This was probably low level people that were drug dealers. This ain't like your high kingpins. But yet the same drug that they make illegal, people still got people in jail and prison to this day behind that. Thanks to the Biden administration and Clinton, and they pushed that, and Obama have to come on through. And you want and you call you want to be a Democrat, and they all Democrats. At least with Trump, he got the people out. At a certain amount of time, it was time for them to let them go. He signed right before he left office. And then people forget about this part. When that riot happened, he came back online and he said this. He said, "Guys, I understand you're upset, but let's be right." And he said this, that just go home. Just this ain't worth it. Let's stop this. Let's stop. Even at the time, they was tearing stuff up. People was going at it. So that's all he could do. And maybe it was the way he said about fight. It doesn't mean you go out there and get a weapon and go and do what they did, but do it with politics. Do it with policies and things like that. And some people turn, "Oh my goodness, we got to come together as a country." We ain't gonna come together as a country. If you got these kind of policies, we're not coming together as a country. You're gonna override my will and what I want. If I have a disagreement with me, you're gonna make me under some law that's something that I don't want to do, and that's gonna make me feel bitter and resentful, and that's what some people feel. And I'm just saying, for the LGBTQ, why don't they have their own schools? Why don't they have their own thing? And I believe if everybody have their own stuff, every group of people have their own thing, we would have this problem. Why we have to include everything? Because it doesn't work. I mean, we can conclude as far as education, but hey, what's wrong with each? I was looking at the other day, there was a magazine, is an entrepreneur magazine. If you were Asian or Hispanic, and black people had their own magazine. Now they want to put up under diversity. And I mean, if you have even gay people have magazines. If they want to put a business, but why can't straight people of all races and have their own culture give each other advice? Why are you trying? They're trying to bring this multiculturalism that some people are not. Some people do, but some people don't. Some people don't. They want to stick and stay to it, and it's the truth. Majority of people of every human race that's in America, majority stick to their own. That's a fact. We get along, we might interact and eat and go to school, go to games, park, whatever. But majority of people, because there's a couple of reasons. Number one is the culture. Number two is the language. And most people come to this country, they can speak some English, but they really want to speak their own language, and they feel comfortable around people that they do. So we already, kind of in that sense. Well, why is it that? But and the same thing. So when black people or other people want to say we want to do our thing, when it especially comes to black people, oh, why are you being segregated? Well, other people doing the same thing. You go into a predominantly white area in Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. That's all they do. They might like country music and things. Does it mean that they like Irish music or whatever? I mean, I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video short. I don't want to go to a tangent, but you force on something that people don't want. That's the reason. And so it's going to be rebellion. But getting back to this woman, it's up to you what you want to vote. But you need to know the truth. Alright then, take care, be blessed. See you on the next video. And next time, take care.